What's up, everybody? We're here for a very special edition of Tekken Talk. We're live from Wizard World in Sacramento, and I have two very special guests today. My first guest is a game designer on the Tekken project team. We have Mr. Michael Murray.
Hey.
And we also have series director for the Tekken franchise, Mr. Katsuhiro Harada. So I got to congratulate you guys first and foremost. So hot off of E3, Tekken was such a big deal over there for me. As a fan and also someone that helps behind the scenes, I was really happy to see what you guys had at the event. Can you guys at least tell us, like, what's your role right now? What are you guys doing with the series? Obviously, we know early 2017 is when Tekken 7 is coming out, but what is the day-to-day right now? What is going on in your lives?
まあ役割は聞いたことあるけど、大体何をするのかって要はシリーズディレクターとかっていうと、大体鉄拳の何をするのか。
まあそうですね。なんでしょう、僕の場合はちょっと他の普通のプロデューサーとちょっと違うかもしれないですね。もともと僕の場合は企画から、細かい、スクリプト、ゲームデザインのスクリプトから、チームリーダー的な役割から、営業までやりましたし、あと、こういうコミュニティとかのマネジメントを含めて全部やってるんで、ちょっと僕の場合かなり総合的にもう20年以上やってるんで、ちょっと特殊だと思います。
So Harada-san's quite different than other producers or directors, I guess you could say, because he started off with many different roles. I don't know if many people know, but he was on the first Tekken in the actual arcades doing like event planning and such like that. But then also moved directly to the team around Tekken 2, I guess, and was doing scripting and other game design stuff. Then straight on to director, and now I guess you could say he's more of like a executive producer.
Nice.
Myself, started out in localization for Tekken 4 arcade, and then kind of did localization at the same time as some of the game design up to around 6. And then 6, I did game design. Tag 2, actually made Fight Lab, as you know. Now, in Japan, it's not as clear defined as in the West, so I do everything.
You wear many hats, right?
I do translation for him, but most of my job isn't like translating. It's like I don't do a lot of the day-to-day tasks for game design anymore, but I do oversee the main game, and I look at all the spec that comes up and ask for changes or tweaks or all that kind of stuff. At the same time, dealing with merchandise or what kind of events we're going to do. So kind of more like a producer now, I guess you could say. But I still have a lot of the game design roles, over general, I guess you could say.
Nice. So let's talk about.
Yeah. Okay.
So let's talk a little bit about E3. You guys obviously had some major announcement there. Let's talk again for the fans that may have missed it.
Let's do it. E3 のどういうものを発表したのかっていう話ですね。
そうですね。今回は E3 で、ちょっとストーリーモードのメカニズムを紹介したんですけど、いわゆる今までの通常のオープニングムービーがあったり、演出があって同じような距離で普通に始まる対戦を、繰り返していくっていうパターンではなくて、例えばプリレンダーからもそのまま演出にて演出の、起きたイベントの状態から、リアルタイムの対戦になって、しかもそのリアルタイムの対戦の中で、いろんなまたイベントが起きていくっていうような、ちょっとそういうのがシームレスにつながるっていうのを紹介しました。
Well, obviously the biggest thing was the story mode. That's the big thing that we were hiding and we finally got to show to the public. And it's kind of cool because, Tekken's always had story elements, but it's more like you had the CG opening movie, then you would go into the in-game cinematics, then you would go into the battle, and you always start at the same, positioning, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you saw the E3 demo, it goes straight from the opening CG, straight into the in-game cinematics, straight into the battle. And the battle, you start at different locations depending on what went on in the cinematics before that. And there are different, kind of in-game, I guess you could say events almost, that are a little bit different than what you find in the normal versus play. And so that kind of affects the gameplay as well, how much health you have or whatever. So I don't want to give away too much, but it's quite different as you saw.
Yeah, and just as a fan, I think there's a lot of things that people can look forward to. Just being able to play that story mode, which was playable at E3, I think is just super exciting, and just the integration between the gameplay itself and the cutscenes is just something that I think, if the story mode is just like that, it's going to be amazing.
ストーリーモードが通りでできたら本当にエキサイティングな。
そうですね。今回たまたま見せたのは悪魔のちょっとワンカットだったんですけど、もともともうメインはもちろん前から言ってるように三島クランの 特に和也と平八のこう争いにフォーカスしていくのでぜひ期待しててください。
Yeah, well, from E3, I guess the first glimpse they got of the story mode was of Heihachi and Akuma, right? But the main story mode in the game, once it's out, is going to be portraying the battle, the long kind of conflict between Heihachi and Kazuya, and that the mysteries surround the Mishima clan.
Nice. I know it was originally touted when Tekken 7 was first announced, I believe in 2014
Right.
at EVO. They said it was the end of the Mishima saga. So we're going to
Announced for
finally
arcade, by the way, right?
Yes. And we're finally going to get to see the end of that, I guess.
アナウンスされた時にやっぱりその三島家がまあ最終的な決戦が見れるという話だったけど、もうつい見れる、ことになりましたねと。
そうですね、特になんで争うようになったのか、和也と平八がってところも分かるので、決着だけじゃなくてそこもぜひ期待しててください。
Well, and just to show the whole story, it's not that you just see the outcome of the battle between the Mishimas. A lot of people aren't really sure why they're fighting, why they're throwing each other off cliffs, etc. So we're going to kind of go back and display some of the roots of that conflict as well.
Interesting. So aside from the announcement of story mode at E3, you guys also announced that we already knew it's coming out for PS4, but also it's going to be coming out for Xbox One and for Steam PC platforms. So can you tell us about how important or how, I guess, amazing this is for the Tekken franchises? And correct me if I'm wrong, it's never been on PC before officially.
Correct. 3プラットフォームはついアナウンスしたんだけど、初めての PC はどれぐらい重要かという感じですね。前から重要あったよね。PC。
需要ね。
需要
があるから。
そう
そうですね。ずっと PC に関しては言われてたっていうのと、あと僕自身がもともとね、多分これ見てる、皆さんよりもよほど昔から Steam のベータ版の頃から PC ゲーマーだった、もっとそれ以前からですけど、ずっと PC のゲーマーだったんで、なんでお前は PC ゲーマーに出さないんだとはずっと責められてたので、今回ようやくそのエンジンが今までちょっとプレイステーションベースのエンジンばっか僕らは自分らで自己開発してたんで、初めてアンリアルエンジン4になったっていうのでちょっと移植がポーティングがしやすくなって、こうようやく出せる環境になったかなっていうのは正直なところですね。
Well, Harada's always been personally a big PC gamer, so people who knew that in the community always asked, why can you not do PC if you're a big fan? But, back in the day, I'm sure you know this more than anyone, we were doing PlayStation-based architecture, so the game was built specifically for that. Porting the game was quite difficult, but this time we used Unreal Engine for the graphics for the first time, which made things and also a shift to PC-based development, which makes it much easier to port the game to PC as well.
Interesting. So there's a lot of great things that obviously happened, and we've had a lot of announcements. You guys even got a lot of nominations and awards for the game, so congratulations for that.
Looks like it, thanks.
Yeah, and I wanted to ask you guys, so going back to, I guess, the King of Iron Fist tournament last year,
Right.
you guys made the announcement that Akuma would be in the game. So let's talk a little bit about that. How has that impacted, I guess, the attention to Tekken right now?
The inclusion of Akuma?
Yes.
後期の参戦に、どういう影響を鉄拳、コミュニティとか、に与えたかという。
そうですね。これ自体は結構僕らの中ではかなり前ですよね。7年前から、そのアイデアはあって、かなり開発の方で時間がかけていたんですけど、で着手したのは4年前ですから、そういう意味では僕らにとってはすごく練ったものだったんですけど、まだ情報を出したばっかりだったんですね、去年末ぐらいから。で今回の E3 っていうのもあって、8割5分ぐらいみんな 85% ぐらいみんな驚きですよね。で驚いた後にやっぱり反応はある程度やっぱ分かれてくるところがあって、一体これどうなるんだという興味の人と、これそもそもなんで悪魔がどう関係してるのっていう本当に、興味とあと疑問にちょっと分かれてる感じですね、反応が。
Well, we had this in the works for quite some time, possibly I guess you could say from early as 7 years ago, when we first started the discussions with Ona-san and his team. Like you said, the first time the general public got to see that was at the King of Iron Fist tournament finals, and it was just it exploded the community. You know, I can't believe he's in the game, and then also why is he in the game, and how is it going to work, etc. Right? So you know, there's that huge excitement there, and then those kind of questions about, well, how can he be in the same storyline or world setting, etc. So was what Harada-San was saying. And then, you know, personally, I've seen that there was that hype, and then also, you know, oh, you can't possibly have a 2D fighting character in Tekken, right? But the more that we have the game at the events that you're going to, and the location tests, people are able to get their hands on Akuma. And, you know, the Street Fighter players, I saw, was it Punko, I think, that came at a final round?
Yep.
We had Tokido in Japan.
Yep, and then Justin was at the
Wong,
recent
right?
Tekken Talk.
They pick him up, they feel that, you know, he plays quite similar. And so I think some of those concerns are starting to just disappear as people see how well he translates to Tekken 7.
Nice, and there's a few other things. So I'm going to ask it now before anyone else does, because a
Okay.
lot of people are going to bring it up. Like, Akuma's in the game, what about Tekken Cross Street Fighter? I had to ask.
Mark, you're fired. テッケンクロスはどうなるの？
まあみんなそれ聞くんだけど、まあ正直開発中止してるわけじゃなくてずっとペンディング、まあかなりのところまで作って今ペンディングしてるんですね。でまああくまでやっぱここら辺はね、カプコンさんはストリートファイター5も盛り上げてるし、我々鉄拳7をこれからどんどん盛り上げていこうというところで。この鉄拳クロスっていうのはどこに持ってくるかっていうのは正直もうこうなってくるとマーケティングの世界ですよね。下手なところで出してね売れなかったら次につながらないわけで、そこはやっぱり皆さんのオーディエンスとこっちのビジネスとしてのマーケティングのバランスを取らなきゃいけないのは当然なので、そういう意味ではまだちょっとしばらくペンディングなのかなというふうに僕は思ってますけど。
Well, you know, and I think we may have shown you some when you came out to Tokyo that one time, but the game is in development, and it does exist. It's just kind of put on hold for the moment because the timing is off. You know, Ona-san and his team they just released Street Fighter V. They're doing a lot of cool stuff with their community to make everyone excited about the game. We're just, you know, heading into the Tekken 7 console cycle, trying to do all kinds of stuff to really hype the game. So I guess you could say from a business and marketing standpoint, it's not really a good time, and because it has to succeed when we do release it, or else, you know, that's the end of it. We want it to lead to even cooler things, which is why the timing is so crucial.
Nice, and thank you for the answer. I know a lot of people will probably ask that or bring that up, so I'm glad we could kind of skip over that. But we are going to bring you guys back a little bit later on in the show for a lot more questions, and I know there's going to be a lot of questions. If you guys use the hashtag Tekken Talk, you can have your question featured on air later, and I think you guys have a good response for a lot of them already.
Yep.
But either way, we're going to get into that. But right before we do that, I'm going to get Rip on stage, but we're going to play the latest trailer from E3, so you guys can check this out. So stay tuned.
Sounds good.
今ここで和美殿との約束果たそうぞ。和美の名を貴様何者じゃ。我は剣を極めし者だ。ほうならば言葉はいらぬな。これも定め。 ここで終わらせる。
Welcome back to Tekken Talk. I have a very special guest here. We have Rip, who is our recent champion on the Tekken Tour. He qualified for the King of Iron Fist tournament 2016 North American Finals by winning Wizard World Philadelphia. So how does it feel, Rip, to finally win one?
It feels great. I mean, you know, I was struggling. I was placing top 4 a lot of the time, but I just couldn't quite close it out. So it feels good, you know, to have it done and out of the way. So now I'm in the finals, and I can see everyone there.
Nice. So before we get into talking about the Tekken Tour and about EVO and stuff like that, let's talk about this cool giveaway that we have going on right now. So you guys can see this awesome Tekken 7 Faded Retribution poster signed by both Michael Murray and Harada-San, and this swanky, cool Heihachi hat, which I know you guys have seen many places before, but we're actually going to be giving these away. You guys have to check out our contest link. We have it on the official Tekken Twitter, but we'll also put it on screen for you guys.
There it is.
There's the URL on screen right there. It's case sensitive, so make sure you type it in right. But you have a chance to win. You have actually multiple chances by following either the Tekken account, the Wizard World Gaming account, also the Twitch account as well. So make sure you guys enter for your chance to win. I believe the contest is going to end of day on Tuesday, so make sure you guys get your entries in.
So they win both of those?
There's going to be 10 winners total, so they'll have a chance to win either one of those.
Wow, okay, so lots of prizes.
Lots of prizes, so there are 10 winners in total.
Awesome.
Speaking of winners, so man, we have quite the number of winners now that are qualified for the Tekken Tour.
Yes.
I know we talked about Combo Breaker last time, and at Combo Breaker, Anakin renounced his championship qualification spot.
How arrogant.
Very arrogant, but he ended up winning the tournament over you in the grand finals.
How arrogant.
So, actually, you were in a great position. Let me picture it for the people. So, you were up, you won winners finals, and you were waiting in grand finals, and Anakin had to come back and win losers finals, then win 2 sets against you.
Right.
And he did.
He definitely did.
And that must have been a blow to your competitive drive.
It definitely was. I mean, I made some mistakes, though. You know, as a competitor, I'm always looking to better myself. So when I look back at that now, you know, I analyzed it with my stream at home, and we were looking at it. And basically, I was watching the losers final with him and Renicon, and I was so excited because Renicon was about to beat him. Renicon was up 2-0 in the set. It looked like I was going to play Renicon, who I had beaten multiple times across multiple tournaments, so I was feeling really confident. And I was so excited for it that I was totally distracted from having to play Anakin again. And then things fell apart for Renicon, and it's just all downhill, man. Anakin gained momentum and just ran me over. And I played terribly.
But it kind of worked in your favor for Wizard World Philadelphia because you did end up playing against Renicon.
I did. That was the grand finals there.
And you ended up destroying him.
Yeah, because I was so mad because the previous week in Combo Breaker, I was like, dude, this should have been Combo Breaker. You should have beat Anakin, and then I would have played you, and that would have been it. And he was really mad at me for thinking that way. He's like, how do you know it's going to be so free? So I had to prove it to him at Philadelphia.
Well, that brings us to Wizard World Sacramento. You did not give up your qualification spot.
I did not give up my spot.
And it's crazy because there's a lot of really good players here.
There are a lot of really good players here. And, you know, the thing about giving up your spot, the way I view it, you know, on one hand, I am a competitor. I love competing. But on the other hand, I feel like over the years, Tekken has given me a lot of opportunities. You know, because of Tekken, I've got to go to Japan for SBO. I've got to go to Korea for Tekken Crash, etc. So without those experiences, I wouldn't have even been to those countries if not for Tekken. So with a tournament like this, I don't really want to gatekeep people, and I kind of want to give other people the opportunity to make it to this finals event. Because if someone like me or Anakin keeps going to these events and we hold back these other players, they may not fly out to that finals to try that last chance qualifier. So the way I see it, I kind of want to let other people have an opportunity to get into the Tekken competitive scene.
So it may change later on, depending.
Right. I mean, I'm not saying I'm going to give it up for sure, for never give it up. I'm just saying that, you know, I want to give people the opportunity to get in there.
That's the words of a great champion. So thank you for thinking about the others. Now let's talk about the future events. So the next event after this is going to be CEO, which is happening next weekend in Orlando, Florida. And that should be a fierce competition. I heard that Circa Anakin, who qualified from final round originally, then he qualified at Combo Breaker. He's going to renounce his title again and tried to qualify at CEO.
That is going to be crazy. I mean, it's going to be a full tournament. The bracket
capped
is
out.
capped.
Yep.
256 players are entering that tournament. And I think one of his training partners or one of his greatest challenges in the tournament is going to be speed kicks. He's going to be at the tournament as well. He's in the bracket. So on top of that, you've got guys like Cody Vu and Wei Gamble who you really cannot count out in a situation like this. So it's going to be really interesting and really difficult for him to pull off another win.
Yeah, but I mean, if anyone can do it, I think he can.
Definitely.
So that leads me into talking about the next event, which is not officially part of the Tekken Tour, but EVO 2016. Also, the King of Iron Fist tournament global finals has already been, or the Japan finals has been announced. And from what I heard is the top 2 winners from EVO will also get a spot in the main event at the end of the year.
That is insane. And last year, 2015 Evolution, we had Tekken 7 there, and Japan came out in full force. They had the games in the arcades like, yo, this is going to be free. Let's go beat up these Americans.
Yep.
And they came and they did just that. I mean, 7 out of the top 8 were all Japanese. Not all Japanese, Koreans and Japanese, I should say.
It was a non-North American.
Yeah, definitely not. I mean, Mr. Nabs came in, I believe, 7th place there. But the top 2 were actually Japanese as well,
Correct.
Nobi and Al. So I'm looking forward to the
You know what?
tournament.
Before you go on, I think we as in North Americans have a better shot this time around, especially since we have more chances to play the game, whether it's at events or at the Wizard World events.
Right.
I just think that a lot of people have been paying attention to videos more, and with the excitement leading into the console release and the impending arcade release for Fate of Retribution, I think more and more people are going to be ready this time around for EVO.
Definitely. I mean, last year the game was only out in Japan arcades for like 3 months or 4
Correct.
months, so Japan didn't have that much of a head start. Since then, we've all got to watch these videos, we've all got to play the game, etc. at these Wizard World events or part of the Tekken Tour this year. So I think North Americans will be a lot more prepared for the game. And also, Evolution is supposed to be Tekken 7 Fated Retribution, which
Correct.
they don't even have yet.
Yeah.
Right? So, I mean, I think it's going to be a much more level playing field this time around.
I'm really looking forward to that. So, talking about EVO and the rest of the Tekken Tour events, I mean, obviously very exciting. I think moving forward, though, it's going to be really interesting to see how the players that qualified for Tekken 7, how they'll be able to translate over to Tekken 7 Fate of Retribution once we make the transition at EVO.
Right.
So I know last year at EVO, you actually did really good against the international players. You actually beat some of the top players.
I beat some of the guys who made it in the top 8, but I didn't make the top 8 myself. So
Yeah.
I did okay. That's the way I look at it.
So I think going into it, though, you'll probably have a better chance. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what you have to do. But I think right before we do that, we're going to obviously switch back to Michael, Murray, and Harada-San. Is there anything you want to say to the Tekken crowd that's watching at home and that have been supporting you, obviously?
Thanks for supporting me. I mean, about giving them my spot, I want to give other people an opportunity. But at the same time, if the finals are going to be on Tekken 7 FR, I might need to get some tournament practice in.
It's true.
And the tour is supposed to switch over to Tekken 7 FR after EVO. Is that right?
Right
Still
after
happening?
EVO.
So, we'll see. We'll see.
Cool. So we're going to go ahead and show you guys this special piece that we did at Combo Breaker in Chicago, made by Esteban Martinez, the Bestaban. He put together a great recap video from the event, so you guys can see this and you guys can see Rip cry at the end.
Come on, man.
But
we don't got to show this.
Take a look at it.
Delete the videos. Take it off.
Chicago's heartland to me. It's American Midwest. We're not next to anything, but we're not that far from everything else either. And coming to Chicago, you eat pizza, you go visit the Bean or the Art Museum, you ride around on the rails.
You want to check out the downtown, of course, because that's like where all the tourist stuff is, but you really want to get a feel for the real city. You want to go through Hyde Park, and you can go get some good hood Chicago food too, like a Harrow's chicken. It's like just fried chicken, fries, and good stuff, greasy stuff that you want. People don't know we got a big Spanish culture in general out here, Mexican, Puerto Rican as well.
Getting people to come here has not always been easy. You have to do things here that are of superior quality, I think, to get people to come. And so that's always our goal. Have an experience that's so fun that you want to come to the Midwest. I like being here. I like having tourneys here.
Combo Breaker seems like a really good event. It was held at a really big resort, a lot of space for the players to just walk around and socialize. Combo Breaker seems to be the tournament of the Midwest for years to come.
The event so far has been great, man. I mean, obviously the highlight for me was the auction tournament. We've never had an auction tournament for Tekken 7 before, so the guys who ended up bidding the most for their characters ended up being in the finals, so it was super fun, and I hope we get to do it again.
So the Tekken Tour at a bare minimum has brought Tekken 7, which in and of itself is important. We're talking about a game that's been out overseas for quite a while now. We're talking about an American player base that's been hungry to play it with no access. And so here we have an opportunity where for 3 days, people can stand around and touch the game, get matches in, learn about characters, try to keep a sense of excitement as they wait for it. And at the same time, we have a tour that's re-embedded competitive fire, hopefully, into the Tekken community.
So recently, the team over at Bandai Namco Entertainment and the Tekken Project team, we announced the King of Iron Fist Tournament 2016 North American Tour. So aside from the Tekken Tour that we've started at Wizard World Portland, we have a total of 20 qualifier spots where it'll culminate a series of events where we're going to have 20 of the best players from North America compete for the title of King of Iron Fist Tournament. And that's going to be happening sometime later this year.
I'm very excited about it. It's great getting Tekken's name out there more people involved. It's really cool. It's a free tournament and they're putting money up. It seems like the numbers are getting better too every stop, so it's very exciting and it's nice to see Tekken in the spotlight and there's some money to win actually. And I also think it's great that it's US players only right now instead of the Koreans and Japanese come over and crushing us because, you know, they have the game for much longer than us. I like a fair playing field. It makes it more exciting as well.
We have guys here coming and competing for real cash, coming and competing for a real grand prize opportunity to go to an event, to go somewhere else, to compete somewhere else against the best of the best, to have that prestige quality. I think the Tekken Tour brings prestige to Tekken in a way that wasn't around last year. I think that's awesome.
Final round, we actually had a qualifier. He came in third place. The highest placing North American was Circa Anakin, but he relinquished his spot. And part of the new rule on the King of Iron Fist Tournament Tour is if you relinquish your spot, you can compete in future Tekken Tour events.
I certainly do feel pressured, especially with every time I see somebody, they're reminding me how crazy I am to give up the spot and how they would never do it. But I feel like in order for me to ensure the better outcome at the end in the Tekken 7 finals, I'm going to have to travel to these tournaments anyways and play the game, get a lot more experience, and try to become the best player that I could be.
Didn't have the opportunity to break. He was pushing other buttons. Okay. Mid get-up kick from Anakin. Nice work.
The biggest threat to me, I think, is definitely Anakin. He's been one of the best players in the country for years now, so the fact that he's willing to give up his spot because he's got a sponsor now that's going to fly him around to all these events anyway, he's a major threat for the rest of the tour.
Questionable.
That is it.
That turned into a slobber knocker. Nice work.
That was a free win for Rip.
I think Anakin has a good shot, but I think Rip has a better shot. That's who I'm betting on this tournament. I think Rip's going to take it.
Right now, my personal favorite's Anakin, but the reason my personal favorite is if you take any player who has already qualified and has the confidence to turn around and go, nah, I'm gonna give that away. Anybody with balls that large, I'm gonna bet my money on.
Nice big hop kick. Rip to close out this round here. Legend kick. There we go. Rip's not dead yet. He also has Rage Art available. Down two. Oh man, the flood there. Oh, that's gonna be a punish. Oh, back turn. Boom, boom. Corkscrew. 4-3. Not quite far enough. Rip. Last opportunity. Slash kick. Oh, big flip. And Rip takes the match against Anakin.
Wow, that was
amazing. The crowd goes wild. It was so close. He did the fake flip. He left that guy hanging on the high five.
Lately, I've been known for getting off to a slow start, so that was kind of expected. And I knew Rip, so I was just expecting him to try to throw me off, and he did a really good job of that.
I had my nerves kicked in, my hands were kind of shaky after the match, and then I'm watching, and I see Renicon's playing, and Renicon's doing really well. He was up 2-0 in the set. I'm getting really hyped because I think Renicon's going to beat him. If Renicon beats him, I feel like I've got a really good shot to win the tournament by beating Renicon. And instead, things fell apart for him, and I see Anakin just like getting stronger and stronger. He was like getting in his groove, and I was like, this is gonna be bad.
This is gonna be 3 out of 5, and Anakin does have to win 2 games.
That's a tall order.
Ask for $1 million.
Yeah. Damn, you're a regular Miss Cleo, aren't
Right,
you?
exactly.
Oh, what a win.
Wow, that was rough. Oh, that would have been a clean whip punish.
Oh my God.
That's a high. He's gonna hit him. Oh,
the
man. That was crazy. Rip just barfed into his hand there. Short leg, but
got him out of the air.
wow.
And
Anakin up 2 matches to none right now. If Anakin wins the next match, he will reset the bracket.
Yeah. Slidey, okay, Rip wiggling around now. Not. Man, right when.
Took the disgust right out of your mouth.
And right when I was like, he's going to make it happen.
Here we go. What's he going to do? Here's the punish. Oh, and it's not looking good for Rip right now. So Anakin takes the lead.
Yeah.
Oh.
Wow, big depth.
Oh.
Wow. And Rip just yelling out to the screen, not happy with the screen there. And Rip really not happy. If we could get a quick switch at the end so we could see his face.
I think that's it. Oh, man.
Right.
Oh, in clean round, Anakin takes it.
The handshake.
Feels good, you know. I came here expecting to win, you know, preparing for it and everything. So it was really gratifying, and you know, it just feels good to win. I know that I'm very confident in my ability to read my opponents and kind of learn their game slowly but surely. And by the time that I had gotten around to the grid finals, I was already on fire, and I was really confident in my ability to beat Rip. The fact that it was so close today, which is an indicator that I have a lot more work to do before I'm ready for that national spot. So in order to do that, I'll definitely have to do that again, take the big risk, and see what happens.
And our champion for Combo Breaker 2016, Circa Esports Anakin. Congratulations. And we have another jersey for you.
So welcome back to Tekken Talk. We're here again with Katsuhiro Harada and Michael Murray, and we have a few questions to ask them. So this is the portion of our show where we try to answer some questions. And obviously, there's going to be a lot of questions from the Tekken fans. They've been using the hashtag Tekken Tour throughout the entire day, asking and prepping a lot of questions. Not only that, I have a list of questions from our friends over at NeoGAF, who obviously had some key questions that they wanted to ask you guys. So first and foremost, I wanted to address a few things. So obviously there's a lot of questions out there. There's a lot of things that can't be answered yet. It's just too early in the development cycle. The game is a work in progress, so there's a lot of things that we won't be able to address at this time. Certain things like input lag, matchmaking, stuff like that. It's a bit too early. So, I mean, what do you want to say about it?
Well, yeah, I mean, another thing we mentioned at E3 was for the first time release window, early 2017. So, you know, given that, it is a little bit early to talk about these kind of things. So, yeah, I just want people to keep that in mind. It's not like we're dodging. It's just not that time yet.
Not ready yet. So it's not part of the marketing plan yet. So another thing is I want to talk about is the negativity within the community, especially for newcomers. I think it's really important that people need to remain positive and always look forward to something new. I mean, there's obviously a lot of negativity within the community. A lot of people are like, oh, man, they don't care about us. And that's not true, because you guys obviously very much care about the fans and delivering a quality product. And I think you had an interesting story that you just wanted to mention earlier.
Yeah, so, you know, at E3, we met a bunch of different journalists. We were on some shows. I think it was the IGN. I was doing a show with their lead writer for fighting games. And it seemed like, you know, he knew fighting games pretty well, but not Tekken so much. And in preparation for the interview, he was trying to get a handle on Tekken. And he said to me just point blank, he said, you know, I'm trying to learn Tekken, but your community, man, that's the thing he said, is like, they're so negative, which is really a shame, because at E3, the whole reaction was overwhelmingly positive about the game, and also when we announced Takuma. So, you know, NeoGAF and some other places, I understand that there is some things that people don't like about the game. I'm not trying to whitewash it, but you know, I'm just trying to say, keep in mind, you want people, you want to grow the community, you want esports, you want all this stuff to take off. Well, keep in mind, if you're just only talking about the negative, that's going to not attract new players.
Yeah, it's going to affect a lot of people that are just listening. So. And
when the guy from IGN told me that, it just really hit home, I think.
Nice. So let's, again, keep that in mind for all the questions moving forward. Hopefully everyone keeps in mind that we want to remain positive. We have a good game that we're working on, and we want to deliver a quality product. But let's get into the questions.
Okay.
So one of the first questions I have is from the NeoGAF community, as I mentioned. They said, thanks for the Steam version of Tekken 7. Will we be getting the bells and whistles that come along with PC versions of the game regarding higher resolutions, source support for multiple monitors, AA support, filtering, mod support, and also Mac and Linux support? Can you comment on that?
まあちょっと日本の人でも見ている人いるかもしれない。簡単に質問で言うと PC の要はあれですよね。いろんなオプションとかそういうのが入ってくるかって質問ですけど、 皆さんご存知の通り、特に北米の方は皆さんご存知の通り、PC のゲーム普通にね、オプションに解像度の、選択肢だったりとかアンチエリアスの選択肢だったりとか、大体どのゲームにもこれぐらいの範囲は入ってるかなっていうのがあると思うんですけど、その常識の範囲内のものは、もちろん入れるつもりで今やっている。で、ただその幅とか細かいところはどれぐらいなのっていうのはまだ、今やってる最中なので、全部を、コンファームドすることはできないですけど、大体のものは常識的な範囲のものは入ってるでしょうと予想しておいてください。
Well, yeah, I mean, we can't really go into the fine details yet, but Harada-San is an avid PC gamer. What we can say is that we know that those kind of features are ones that many people would expect from any PC game, and just because it's our first time on the PC doesn't mean that we plan to be any different. So we do hope to at least have some of the features that are considered standard for a game on the PC. And then as far as the rest, it just depends. We're trying our best, but a lot of stuff isn't locked down yet, so we'll let you know when we find out.
Nice, and that is great to hear. So another question regarding the artwork is, since most of the characters got a new default costume for Fated Retribution, a lot of people have been asking, will they get another batch of character artwork panels by different artists such as JB Style, Juni, Shunyu Yamashita, and Fujisawa?
そうですね、コスチュームに関しては、まだ実はいや今回の家庭用のベースとなる鉄拳 7FR ってまだこの7月からようやく稼働なので、全部まだフィックスしてない部分もあるし公開してない部分も多少あるんですよね。で、同じコスチュームでも 2P カラーがあったりだとか、あとパネルのところは結構昔からの、いろんな作家さんに書いてもらってるやつも、全キャラもあったりするので、家庭用でどうなっていくかっていうのはまだまだちょっとここからの部分もあるので、もちろんコスチューム、カスタマイズ含めて、追加していければなというふうに思っています。
So, as we just announced in Japan, I believe the arcade version of Tekken 7FR Fated Retribution will be next month. And so there's still some, regarding costumes and such, some stuff that maybe some people haven't even seen yet. Not only new costumes, but perhaps like a 2P color, I guess you could say, of some of the existing costumes. But also when the game makes its way to console, we're hoping to add more. It's something, we're still trying to work out. We don't know how much or, what kind of stuff, but we do hope to add more for the console. And also, like you said, the character panels, we've always had ones done by various artists, different series and such. So I think it's safe to say you can expect more of that as well.
Nice. So I'm looking forward to that as a fan myself. So another question regarding game changes and game balance changes. So originally there were a lot of complaints about the game balance and the restriction of movement in Tekken 7. They mentioned that Tekken 7 feels much better in this regard, or Tekken 7 Fated Retribution feels much better in this regard. What changes has the team made in regards to movement and updates and balancing? And how did you take feedback for that?
キャラバランスと、あと移動、操作方法微妙に変わってる。なんか横移動がセブンはやりづらかったけど、FR は多少緩和されて良くなってるけど、どういう変更点をしたのかっていう。結構マニアックなんです。
かなりマニアックだね。ちょっとごめん、あんまり質問が聞こえなかったんで、多分全般的にちょっとどこが変わってんのってところだと思うんですけど、特にまずはジェネラルのところでいくと鉄拳7自体は、FR も含めて、これまで鉄拳シリーズで難しいとされてた場面、起き上がりだとか、あと初心者がちょっと分かりにくくて、やられちゃうようなところとかは実はかなりシンプルに改造していて、みんながどんな人でも立ち会いの駆け引きにすぐ持っていけるようにできるなってる。でもう一個さっき言ったちょっとマニアックなところでいくと、横移動でちょっと避けにくいっていうのは鉄拳7の時に言われてて、 FR からはどうでしょうね、従来のというか横移動で避けれるようになったのって実は鉄拳6とタッグ2だけなのでシリーズの中では歴史は非常に短いんですが、だからどれと比べてってなかなか言いにくいんですけど、初期の7に比べると多少 横移動でかわせる技っていうのは、増えてきてる、使えるテクニックとしては使いやすくはなってると思います。
Well, people have to keep in mind that one of the main goals for Tekken 7 was try to make the game more accessible because people thought Tag 2 was a little bit too much for beginners. So some of the changes that were made, for example, the sidestep and such, were done for that. That said, we've tried to continue the trend with 7 Fate of Retribution. But some of these changes, originally were done intentionally. And Harada-San was just mentioning like the sidestep itself. We did change it and make it a little bit easier to sidestep some moves in FR. But even so, if people look back, the main focus is on the strategic back and forth. So it's not about sidestepping every move. And Tekken 6 and even more so probably I would say Tag 2, that was, sidestep was pretty strong. But if you look at the whole series, and not so much at all, that's just, a fraction of the whole series itself. So people are maybe focusing on it too much.
Understood. So one last question from the NeoGaf boys. So post-launch support, a lot of people are asking. You mentioned before that when Tekken 7 drops onto consoles, that it would be complete with features. So what are the plans for the console versions post-launch after it drops in early 2017?
そうですね、まあ難しい。鉄拳前結構今まであんまり皆さんご存知の通りいわゆるペイド DLC って言われる有料の DLC ほぼやってないんですよね。タク2の時にちょっとサントラやったぐらいで、僕らとしては当時鉄拳6とかタク2の頃はいわゆるファイティングゲームってやっぱりパッケージゲームとして、最初に価格をつけてそれ以上お金を取らないっていうのが基本でしょうっていう、考えがあったっていうのと、あと世の中のトレンド的には僕はそうだったと信じてるんですけど、最近ちょっとみんなの意見が変わってきてて、お金払ってもいいから長く運営というか、追加コンテンツをやってくれって、そうじゃないとタック2とかはもちろんパッケージとしては非常にいいんだけど、追加のコンテンツとしてそんなにね、例えば1年後とか半年過ぎてもまだ何かやるってことをほとんどやらなかったので、もしそれを望まれているのであればやるべきかなと思うので、ぜひそこら辺は皆さんの要望を出してほしいですね。そしたら僕らも例えば1年2年と、追加コンテンツっていうのをちょっと検討できるかなと。現状ではあんまりまだプランそんなに立ててないです、正直言うと。
That's really something to think about. For Tag 2, at that time our feeling was that a fighting game at that time should be it's a full package, it's a finished product, all the characters, everything is included, maybe a little bit after launch or something like that. And we didn't really charge like paid, we didn't have paid DLC past launch. So, but maybe we're thinking we have to reevaluate that because we thought that was good at the time, and it seemed like a lot of the fans, they mentioned that was a good way to go. But time has changed since then, and we've seen that other games are extending their post-launch content to make the game, still healthy quite a long time after release. So, and it seems like players they understand that right after launch they want free stuff, obviously. But if you're continuing to support the game for like a year or so after launch, then obviously paid DLC is easy to understand then. And even we're seeing that some players for other games say if it helps make the game a much longer lifespan, then why not? So we're trying to take everyone's current opinions on that topic into consideration, and we're seriously thinking about it.
Nice, good to hear. So going over to Twitter now, we have a few questions. So our friend Tasty Steve is asking, is Tekken Ball finally going to make its return?
今までテッケンボールで2回もだからその時俺がやってWii U の時もちょっと若手の企画に作らせたんだけど、3回目またリバイバルするのはどうかなと思うから。
テッケン変わってないって
言われるしな。そうだね、ちょっと気持ちはわかるんだけど、同じことをやりたくないかなっていう。
Well, that's difficult. Harada was just saying that he was actually the one who designed the original mode back in the day.
On Tekken 3, right?
And we also did it one more time for the Wii U version of Tag 2. So to do it another time is not something we're that enthusiastic about. And it's tough for us because, if we do, there are obviously fans they want that kind of thing, but then there are journalists or other more casual people that say, well, nothing changes about Tekken. If we do too much of the revival stuff. So it's a difficult balance.
It
まあだから
is.
それをやるぐらいだったらストーリーモードのなんか中でのゲーム性とかにすごいこだわったりした方が面白いかな。
So our thinking currently is rather than bringing back ball, maybe to just make story mode that much more hype is probably the best way to go.
Interesting. So next question from Susano the God. He's asking, will there be crossplay between PS4, Xbox One, and PC? If not, why?
これねクロスプレイの質問ですね。
X1
X1 と例えば PSO とかってまあつうか俺自体が実は、表では言ってませんけど、業界ではね実はね一番最初の頃から他のプラットフォームとのクロスプレイっていうのはもう何年も前からずっとファーストパーティーとかいろんなところ提唱してるんですよ。多分一番最初にその提唱し始めたのが俺って言っても過言ではないぐらいずっと活動はしてます。で正直言って、例えばコンソール同士のクロスプラットフォームってもう技術的な問題じゃないですよ。ポリシーの問題なので、これは会社のねセキュリティとかだからそれははっきり言ってサードパーティーのゲームメーカーが決めれることじゃないので、この決断ばっかりは例えば俺がいくら言ったところでまあポリシーの問題が1個でかいからそれはちょっと何とも言えないですね。ノーコメントですね。で、PC とのクロスプラットフォームも昔から俺やった方がいいって言ってたんですね。で対戦相手が増えるんでだけどこれもちょっと最近流れが変わってきて例えば PC 側ってやっぱチートツールとか非常に使いやすいところあるのでなんかコンソールやってる人からしたらなんかやられてんじゃねえかみたいな、実はただの回線障害なのに納得がいかないとか、いろんな誤解を生みやすいところあるので今のところちょっとみんなの意見の様子を見てるって感じですね。
So I guess the big question is between PS4 and X1, for example, and maybe you guys might not know this, but Harada-San and us, we have been talking to the first party for quite some time about that would be something we would really like to do. I mean, even before it became the trendy topic it is recently, and technologically, it's not a problem. We can do it. It's just more of a policy, I guess, for the first party. Obviously, there's security and firewalls and various things like that too. But we can do it technologically. But we're just a third party, so there's not anything we can do to really make that happen. And as far as PC and console, then also it's something that Harada-san's been wanting to do for quite some time because you have access to more opponents to play online, right? But it's kind of strange when you see the sentiment out there with some console gamers that the PC guys are maybe using a cheat tool or whatever, and so they're kind of scared to match with them. And even if they lose, they don't know if that's because they're not as good or if the dude was cheating or whatever. So there's that kind of impression,
It's interesting you bring that up because another game online.
We won't mention the name.
Another game online, the number one ranked leaderboard person was like a PC tool assisted kind of thing, and we don't want that in our game.
So we haven't made a decision one way or the other yet. We're kind of looking at the player base, and we want to see what they think as a whole.
Interesting. Cool. So our next question then is someone wanted to ask, could you consider adding a quick online rematch option and a best 3 out of 5 or 3 out of or 5 or 10?
You're talking for a rank then, right?
For like online match, just in general, I guess. Because in other games you could do 3 out of 5. You could do another match if you wanted to.
リマッチとあと例えば3本選手とかそういうなんかマッチの数を決めるとか。
リマッチについては、今までも一応例えばアーケードとかだったらリベンジマッチみたいな名前になってますけど、でリマッチについては、
賛否両論だよね。
賛否両論ですね。リマッチやらせろって声がバーッと上がってる時はそれしか上がらないんですけど、実際やったらやったでリマッチばっかりされて嫌だ、もしくは拒否権つけろ、それだともう何のルールをどれに統一してるか分かんないじゃないですか。だってユーザーがチョイスできるんだったら、ユーザーができるチョイスっていうルールっていう言い方もできるかもしれないですけど、もしランキングマッチだとしたらある程度やっぱ公式が設定したルールの中でやらなきゃいけない。それはラウンドの話も一緒ですね。だってラウンド10までやって、このランクマッチは上がりますよ下がりますよみたいなルールでやるんだったらそれを固定でみんな同じ条件でやるべきだし、でそうじゃなかったらプレイヤーマッチでランクと関係ないところでいろんなオプションつけてラウンド 10であろうが5であろうが3であろうがもしくはリマッチありなしであろうがって選べるのはいいんですけど、やっぱりオフィシャルマッチは例えばリマッチは2回までとか1回までとかわかんないですけど、きっちりなんで決めたルールを決めた上でやりたいですよね。
Well, for ranked match goes, we want to have a standard rule, whether that's 2 times, 3 times, I don't know, and just keep it standard because a lot of people ask for the option to rematch, but as you know in the arcades in Japan, we can have the feature to rematch.
Yeah, the revenge match.
And there's also the flip side of the coin where people who they win or they didn't like the match or whatever, they don't want to be rematched. So we hear both things equally as strong, and it's kind of hard to figure out which one's the correct one that everyone wants. If it's player match, no problem. We, like you said, as many options we can have as possible. How many, rounds or how many matches till is a win, or how many rematches are allowed. These kind of things are no problem. But for ranked match, it's a little bit trickier, I guess you could say.
Okay, so we have time for probably just 2 more questions.
Okay.
So one of those will be mine. But the first question I want to ask is, will Tekken 7 get any in-game focus on esports, like button configurations in character select screen, or anything that help for the tournament scene?
Oh, you mean to make it easier to
yeah.
run the tournaments and such? e スポーツ向けの仕様はあるのか、例えば、ボタンコンフィグを
なんか
便利な場所にあってたりとか、マッチ対応しやすいとか、そういった e スポーツやりやすくなるような仕様の予定はあるか。
まあそうですね。今e スポーツというか、もちろんこういう競技シーンっていうのは鉄拳常にあるんで、そこは、みんなのプレイヤーを補助するようなことはちょっと考えていきたいなというふうに思うんですけど、逆にこういう機能があったらすごく便利だなっていうのは、ツイッターとか通して言ってくれた方がいいですかね。下手にね、たくさんいろんな選択肢を与える、たくさん選択肢を与えることが必ずしもいいとは限らないんですよね。シンプルイズベストって言うでしょ。だから本当にそれは重要で、いろんなオプションがあっていろんなことをやれるようになったがゆえに、余計時間を取られる、お互いのプレイヤーが、もしくは片方がすごい待たされるみたいなことがあったらならないと思うので、ちょっとそこら辺はぜひ、皆さん意見ください。
We know we have a long list of stuff to put in the game to choose from. So the best thing is just if people give us their ideas that they want to see in the game, like you mentioned, because maybe it might not be on the list, no one's thought of it yet. So there's that, but then we also are trying to at the same time keep the game as simple as possible, because it's quite daunting for newer people.
Yeah.
I guess it's just there's a balance there with UI and whatever we can do on that front, but still, we want to streamline as much as possible. But that said, if there's any kind of ideas where people are in tournaments and they're very frustrated with something, and if the spec was this way, it would be 10 times better, then yeah, please let us know. We'll be more than willing to consider it.
And people can see our Twitter handles on the stream. They'll be able to know how to reach us. So if they tweet to us, we read as much as we can, but there's no way we could respond to everything, as you know. That brings me to my last question. So I got to ask you guys. So personally, I've asked you this before, but I want to ask Harada-San as well.
Use my shirt now?
You can use your shirt if you want. But I want to know is personally, which Tekken character do you want to see come back into the roster that is not in yet? And I want to ask both of you guys that question.
個人的に復活させたいキャラクターいや俺あれよ2つあって、本当は俺個人的には巌流とマードックすごい使ってたんで、それは俺は本当は復活させたいんだけど、申し訳ないけどこればっかりは昔から言ってるように俺はユーザーの意見を聞いて本当に作ってるので、いわゆる人気度と使用率、これまた違うんだけど、そこら辺はすごく見てるのと、あと要望に数とか、トータルで見たときになかなかちょっと俺のエゴだけで復活させるわけにいかないなっていう状態なんで、ちょっと残念ですけどね、この2人は今のところね、今のところは。はい。
Well, for Harada-san personally, it would be either Marduk or Ganryu, because those are 2 characters he uses quite often. But as he's often said, we choose the roster on popularity, whether that's actual play popularity or whether that's as a character setting. We take both into consideration. But he doesn't put his favorite characters in, and instead he goes by this parameter. So you can't always have what you want, huh?
Correct. So how about yourself, Michael? Is it still the same answer?
For me, definitely Lee. Just because of what we did with him in Fight Lab was so much fun, and I think as a character, he was just so exciting. I think we took him a little bit too much in the comedic role. I mean, he is supposed to be a really cool character from the start of Tekken, so if we could also show a different side of him, I think that would be cool. So definitely Lee. But I'm torn because Bruce, a proper kickboxer. I mean, I know people are going to give me crap on Twitter for this. Believe me, preaching the choir, So I would love to see him back.
Nice.
Back too.
Oh, I'm sure you miss it with Josie. But anyways, is there anything else you want to say to the Tekken fans that are tuning in at home?
Yeah, I mean, characters, I get it. There's a certain character that you like he used to play Marduk all the time, and then Marduk's gone. He has to pick up a different character. So just because your character's not in, it just means there's a bunch of new ones there. It's a good time to try someone else. And for people spamming me.
Oh, is it time to let people know?
These really cool shirts.
About Harada-San, is there anything you want to tell the Tekken community that's tuning in? I guess this is all he wants to say. And I think that's going to conclude our episode of Tekken Talk. So again, thank you, Harada-san, and thank you to Michael Murray for coming on the show. I think we're going to have our next show sometime in July. Don't forget to enter our contest to win some of this cool stuff, and you guys have a chance. We'll see you guys in the coming weeks. There's obviously a lot of events. We'll probably see you guys next at EVO and Comic-Con. But again, thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you guys soon.
Maybe some cool news at EVO. Who knows?
Uh-oh.
It's a hype event. I think we're going to have a lot of people from, Asia, South America, North America.
Sounds like a good time. Who knows? Maybe. But anyways, we'll see you guys next time.